How's it going? It's man tomorrow here. Make sure you hit the like button upon coming in, so that way we can talk about this issue and topic and subject. Let's wait another minute for people to get in here. Yeah, you have to take away all of their arguments. I'm sorry, you have to take them all away. Then you have to see the people who want to attach themselves to this particular issue itself. And I'm going to connect this to different eras of this so-called struggle, so that way you can see I'm not crazy. It's going to Bang Pie Extraordinaire. It's going to Dick Duck. Make sure you hit the like button upon coming in. Gonna give people another minute to come through. Because apparently when you're talking about real things, your notification never go out. But if you're talking about straight and abject BS, your notifications have no problem going out. But it's their platform, it's not mine. They're here to stagnate people. I'm here to move them forward. And that's what we're gonna do here. You have to understand that leveraging ignorance for cheap laughs is a very, very, very easy thing to do. It's very easy. It's not that hard. It requires no thought. It doesn't require anything. If we wanted to solve these problems a long time ago, we would have clearly. Like, if it wasn't for the internet, I would have thought that people were going through the same exact thing that I was going through, which is trying to get their business off the ground, trying to get as many contracts as they can, trying to, you know, build and build and build, trying to find the best people to actually build with and deal with. You think that everybody's doing the same thing. The first time we was able to get our voice, we got our voice through media. I'm talking about like the Hollywood shit. So people came into Hollywood doing the Hollywood thing. It turns out that they were better at doing the Hollywood thing at some of the Hollywood people there, but still being controlled by the dominant society in that particular system. And pretty soon, when it came down to telling actual stories, Derek McKinney was calling LM. When it came down to telling stories about progress and struggle that leads to something, those things were never produced. Even when people had the money to produce those things, they still didn't produce it. Why? They thought it was a waste of time. Why? This is why when Malcolm X said that you don't want entertainers leading your group, because the entertainers are there to increase their audience and market share by any means necessary. That does not require progress in order to do that. It requires a certain degree of stagnation that you're leveraging in order to keep your momentum going without progress. This is why when most comedians start to do their acting routine, they talk about things that are leveraging ignorance for the most part. But they are clowns and they are comedians, just like Malcolm X said. You don't want these people leading your community because an entertainer's job is not to lead anything. An entertainer's job is there to maintain the current levels of circumstances. It's called Red Pill Finance. That's just a comedian. So what about because like in one of BGS's videos, in one of his videos, I don't think he should have put that in this video. It's called She We Here. He showed a woman having arguments with men about men not taking care of their responsibility when it came to the productivity piece. It's called Sexual Radio TV. This was happening 50 years ago. I think that video was from 1974 or maybe 1973. But it showed a woman who actually knew what she was doing. So if that video was made in 1974, that woman looked like she was probably in her 20s, which means that woman was probably born into the 1950s. And this conversation was going on back then. Let's go on break the cycle. So if the women were smart enough back then, and that woman did sound, she would definitely have command of the English language. She was telling this man that, well, we don't want the power. And the man was trying to be nice to her and explain to her why she shouldn't have the power and use it improperly. At that point, the woman was telling you, if you do not have a better deal, better than what is offered to her, you're not going to win this situation. This 50 years ago. So she grew up in the 50s, having this argument in the 70s with weak ass men who still wanted to compromise. Even then, I'll go back and look it up because this has to be something that has to be played in front of people so people can understand that there is no need for a gender war. There is no need for a cultural war, period. Like you have to understand that the gender war and the culture war is pretty much based on an individual's ability to not be able to move forward within the environment. This is an individual problem that is cascaded over the entire group. That's why this is such an issue. Because we know pimp culture is bad. We know street culture is bad. We know drug culture is bad. We know scam and hustle culture is bad. And we know silence to all of the said above is actual bad. But the type of man that it would take to still want to compromise with this actual system, well, that's where the Bravo Alpha November culture come in. Yes, he did play that video recently on one of his videos. I think he played it at the first beginning or maybe the end of one of his videos. So the women didn't have to go work for men. The women was waiting for the type of men who still wanted to make a deal. Because when people come online and they talk about their issues, let's go with child support, for instance. The same people who make fun of people who are incels are the same people who are complaining about child support. How is that an actual thing? Where the people want to make mockery of people who is improperly raised in an environment where they cannot deal with women, are being made fun of by people who actually dealt with women and have consequences. And those men are still complaining about the consequences. You see, there's no real leadership going on here because leadership puts confines on fun and focuses on progress. That's what it is. Then all of a sudden, pointing out BS and expecting BS to change made you a hater. Setting down any type of standards made you a hater. It wasn't the fact that you hated order and decency, so you destroyed the environment itself. That's what actual hate is. So when I show my level of proactive hatred versus a level of reactive hatred that these people show, the reactive hatred is trying to tell you that no, keep things the same. I don't want to produce. I just want sexual access. And I want everybody else to pay for these actual issues after I do so. Let's go on, question the prayer. And every time you look around, there's always these avatars of showing you how to deal with broken women that they don't have any proof or outcomes of. It doesn't matter whether it's a Ron Wills or Alan Roger Curry or Cousin T-Taw or any one of these people who would not be tolerated in any culture society. It's called Terrence B. The real Terrence B. It's called, man. And it's vitally important that we talk about these messages during Black History Month. That you have to let people know through your actions that you are not a part of society. You are a part of it. There is no separate group here. The separate group are the people who's trying to socialize everyone else into thinking that there are no standards. These problems have no fixes. When the person with the problem is complaining out loud that they are the problem. How is it possible can you have all these complaints about politics and your ass ain't even invested in the process at all? In fact, people dodge participation just to complain about the same thing that they're actually complaining about. This is a cycle of socialization. This is a cycle of not knowing how to basically problem solve. This is a cycle. And this is a cycle that is handed down from person to person. You can't tell me that a lack of access to a woman that you know is going to destroy you. I'm talking about the wrong type, by the way. It's your biggest problem in society. Your lack of access to this woman is not what masculinity is based on. Somehow we've let these people rewrite masculinity in front of our face. They've turned masculinity from the ability to be able to produce and lead to the Bravo Alpha November, our reflection in a cracked mirror, is the ability to get access to illicit sex, not produce, and let everybody else clean up after you're gone. See, here's the problem. Insects can formulate better relationships than these people within this environment. Reptiles can formulate better relationships than people within this environment. Most mammals that live together formulate better relationships than people within this environment. But somehow, when it comes to people creating better relationships with people within this environment, that's a problem. It's so much of a problem that this shit's been going on for 50 years. When you know that having your own stuff together and getting access to a different group of people that have been socialized to the actual results that you want was always the solution. That was always the solution. New inventory was always the solution. But see, these people thought that, you know what? If I had plenty of access to the old problem, that's going to solve my current level of circumstance. Now, there's a version of that that works, but you don't use it in this type of situation. So let's go with the flu virus or the flu vaccine that you're supposed to take every year. That's optional for you to take, not mandatory, not guaranteed. So what they do is they take the flu virus from last year, they make some changes to it, they make some adaptations to it, so that way your actual immune system can be immune to yesterday's virus or today's virus before it actually gets you. That's an actual process of science of trial and failure that works. How on earth is men coming to a place to learn game to get access to problematic women? How is that going to be able to fix that man's issue? When your actual issue was discipline, productivity, and staying away from problematic people. Not hiring them for any reason, not putting them on your team for any reason, not being around these people for any reason, expected to be treated fairly for any type of reason. Again, you're being distracted on purpose, that you're doing on purpose because you have not thought about a life without these problems around. Checking out of this corrupt system starts with thought way before it comes to action. But a lot of these people have not even thought about a better world that they're going to go to, that they're going to search for, that they're going to work towards. They haven't even thought about that. Because once you start thinking about it, this is like biting off the tree of knowledge, the actual tree of knowledge in the Garden of Eden from the Bible. Now you know that you're walking around naked. Now you know that you have to go find shelter. Now you know the pains that come with real life the moment you start thinking about it and moving towards it. I like the fact that most of these idiots are here doing the same thing over and over again. The only thing you're doing is you're building confirmation bias for people way younger than you. The people way younger than you are getting to the money. And you know what they do once they get to the money? They avoid adults. They avoid adults. My nephew, once I told him, listen, once you start making this money, you're going to be better than your mother or father. I highly suggest that you lie to them about where you work. I highly suggest that you lie to them about how much money you make. I highly suggest that you do not go out and get a brand new vehicle and drive it around them. I highly suggest that you don't do any of those things. Come on, Brandon Baxter. I highly suggest that you don't do that. And he asked me, like, well, why not? Because you think that you are emotionally able to walk away from my brother, your dad, and your mother. They have created you in such a weak ass format that you are going to bow the actual head to them the moment they start emotionally sabotaging you. And now you're going to have to make a choice between your own happiness and the people that you've been tolerated to love. Not learned to love, tolerated to love. And I am telling you, make sure you can get all the way to hell up out of those circumstances before you start doing any of those things. It's all right. I'm like, dude, you're not like other people. You got to the money at 20 something years old after living with your parents until you was 19. You have got to understand that you're even better than me now. and I'm still gonna fucking help you win. You better than me now. Me, 1920, I was overseas in Germany having the time of my motherfucking life. I wasn't thinking about no goddamn future outside of the military. I wasn't thinking about that shit because I had a guaranteed check that was coming in on the 1st and 15th. I couldn't even be worried about that shit. So I'm like, look, you're still gonna why you've been productive right now, and you see the actual ideas of productivity. Like your dad only has a high school education. Your mother didn't graduate from high school. You graduated from high school and you got immediately to a trade through the workforce center in your big ass city that they can go to and they can do the same thing, but they refuse to do so. Again, even in the position where I'm at, I've still got people who don't want to get life. I don't mind giving their kids the actual information. It's called complex. They could have gave their kids this information. They know what I make. They know kind of where I live, but I don't invite these motherfuckers over because I don't do stupid shit like that. I come see them. But you have to recognize everything they're doing within this current environment is to prove that they don't have to follow an established set of rules. Even though they know they've been to people, they went to school with people who did way better than them. They would never fucking tell their son that shit. Why? They want their son to look up to them like they are the best version of what can be done within this environment. Taught this dude about voting and how important it is to participate in the process. And I'm like, look, man, I understand how you're gonna feel after this shit, but you cannot let these people know that you are better than them. You cannot let these people know that you understand society better than them. Their job is to create distraction after distraction after distraction to prove that there's no answers to these simplistic questions. But the problem is, it's not the complaints, it's what's behind the complaints. We now know that talking about this gender war and relationship conversation have given nothing. What's going on now, Jay Shine? Have given nothing but power to problematic women. Because that was the plan in the first place, was to give all the power to the problematic women. That's what they wanted to do. That was their grand plan. Because if they gave all the power to the problematic women, they would treat every woman like they're the same within the same environment. Now they're not responsible anymore for the type of women that they fucking deal with. Why? They've already socialized themselves into thinking all women are the same. So the only thing I have to do is just get to their ass and choose my consequences. But see, that ain't the case. These are things that people chose to do. Chose to do. Like these people hyping Jason Whitlock, not understanding that Jason Whitlock is a fucking coon. Every time they needed something to be said bad about a black person or a black circumstance, these sports individuals would call on Jason Whitlock to come and make the white talking points for them. But we're all gonna act dumb as shit, like we don't act like we don't understand who Jason Whitlock is. So you have to understand that most of this stuff, even though the problems are here, you can easily get past these problems, man. These problems are so easy to get past now. You got to be a damn fool to walk headfirst into these issues. And if you want to keep distracting yourself with entertainment, then you go do that. But at the end of the day, this shit is still a distraction from doing the things that you know that you ought to be doing. But these people haven't even thought of a world without those people being around. But that's the problem. They don't want the time that they spent hoping that this stuff worked out or working out for them. They don't want that time to be wasted. They want that time that they spent thirsting after a certain individual or trying to look up to a certain set of circumstances that was going to work out, working out. They don't want that time that they spent in this situation to be wasted. So with Passport Bros and Jason Whitlock's mouth, bro, listen, that's not a good look for anybody. What's going on, Mr. G? Yeah, yeah, that's what you do. Because in that city where most of my family live at, the moment you say that you got shit and you start flaunting and showing off to these people, they'll come breaking your house. They'll come breaking your shit. They will set you like, dude. I had so many family members set themselves up to get killed in my family in that fucking city. It's mind blowing. Mind blowing. What's going on, Mike V? What's going on, Tampa Supreme? It's mind blowing. How many family members that were set up to be killed by other family members? Why? That fucking jealousy, bruh. Those people still felt entitled to that person's shit, even though they never worked for it. What's going on, Jaquan? They felt entitled to it. So entitled to it that they would kill him to get it. Very true. But keeping them in the dark is a lifestyle. Thanks for the $10 super chat, man. Once you learn and understand how to move in silence, everything is great. He sure did. He sure was. That shit's on tape. That shit's on record. For years, he was on record for that shit. At least 3 or 4 years ago. It's called Rage Machine. It's called Dan Patrick. It's called Sean H. But that's where we at right now. Your job is to not be distracted by this fucking bullshit. That's your job. Your job is to make sure no matter how you was fucking raised, no matter who you was raised by, you need to make sure that your life is a fucking indictment on making sure that that shit never happens again. That stuff never happens among or even around you. You got to be better than the 13%, the one person per large ass family household of people who actually make it out of those circumstances. But you got to bar the door after you leave. You don't leave the door open. You you bar the door to Tartarus once your ass leaves hell. You bar the door, you barricade the door from the outside, and you don't take your ass back over there once you out of there. Now, when you help people get out of there, you don't have to go up to them up close and personal to do that. There's plenty of ways to get in contact with people and tell them the specific right thing to do, but they have to let go of that freedom of wanting to do whatever with no consequences in order for them to focus on specific things. But that's what I'm saying, man. You got these former street sociopaths who's out here still trying to keep the shit going. They will leverage anything that they can leverage to come out here to make sure this shit works. And all of this fucking silence, the culture of silence, because you see illicit attention or money being made and you want to keep your mouth closed to that shit, then you want to turn around and talk about brotherhood and code. That's what I'm talking about, man. This shit is a distraction, bro. It's a distraction. Distraction. Not knowing what the hell's going on in an environment where you actually catch plenty of L's from, it's a distraction. I kept saying that before that there needs to be a separation. For real. Oh, MOT, you just fight people all the time. There could never be any peace. Like, bro, listen, there can never be any peace because you people keep bringing unpeaceful people around us and expect us to humanize them. Say it again. But like a lot of people have really inversed that actual statement, LOM. They've actually turned that statement into you're only as good as the following that you build. You're only as good as that. As the following that you build and that you hide behind. That becomes a problem. This is why I refuse to even talk to people about the specific situation. That's why you have Tia Johnson coming online talking about feminism and all this other shit. He's an unproductive guy. He's majored in black male victimhood. He ain't trying to be part of the productivity piece. He ain't trying to lead men to any type of better circumstances. Why? He needs the shit the way it is in order for him to succeed. And he's not the only person doing this shit. Most of these men are doing this shit. And then they turn around and blaming the women for this shit. This is the shit that I don't get. A woman cannot make you give up on the productivity piece. A woman can't make you fucking do that. A woman can't make you do that. A woman can't make you be undisciplined. The existence of women make you undisciplined? The existence of women cannot make you undisciplined. It's not even possible. But when you spend your life watching the people that raised you or the people that you've been socialized around outsource their complaints about legitimate things that they should be doing and pointing it toward other people. Now, you're not dumb. You didn't see any results from that type of system. Hold on a second. I just got an incoming phone call. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. All right, there we go. Hold on a second. Let me go out and come back in. Sorry about that. That was my fault. I didn't turn on the do not disturb on my phone, and a phone call came through. That was 100% my fault. So let me go through here. I hit one in the chat if you could be able to hear me now. Like, man, I'm getting the fuck rid of this goddamn Google Pixel, man. Every time this fucking shit, man. Every time a phone call comes in, it fucks up everything. Hit one in the chat if you can hear me as clearly as you can hear me before. Okay, all right, cool. But that's currently where we are, man. You have to understand that these people are here to weaken men. Okay, the Black Manosphere's job, especially for the full-time YouTuber, is to weaken men, so that way they can put themselves over the top, so that way they can represent all men. Like, that's what this mainstream manosphere bullshit was about. The mainstream manosphere was about showing the world how weak black man is, so that way they can be this arbitrary voice of reason among those men. That's what this shit was about. It was about being a clown, showing your face, saying a whole bunch of stupid shit, and destroying any movement of progress, actively working against any movement of progress for all men, period. They had to sabotage and destroy every single thing that could be possible to move past these issues. They had to do that specifically and on purpose. They had to strategize behind the scenes and do all that stupid shit on purpose. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. It is the male version of feminism. It's the male version of feminist complaints. It's the male version of that. But at least the women were given the power by men in society for them to be able to have power. But how do you make these complaints when you have no actual ability to even work for your own power? That that's the problem that comes here. Like, you don't need to be told that, or even these things. How do you complain about people who are far more politically adept than you are? How do you complain about people who's taking advantage more of society more than you are? How are you complaining to actually have the actual people within the environment stop their progress, so that way they can let you walk ahead of them? And somehow the rest of the world is not supposed to find an actual way to move past people? It's going to, like, who don't want to move forward? See, unproductive men thought that they was going to be able to take this society hostage by sheer numbers. by sheer numbers of unproductive men. And those sheer numbers of unproductive men wanted to litter the actual environment with as many broken boys as possible, to the point to where the broken boy raised in the broken circumstance that the man put this boy into, that becomes the average level of where we're going to be at within the environment. It's the men who did this. Dude, it doesn't matter how bad a system is. The level of deliberate participation will determine most of the outcomes for the group. But that's what it is. If they can socialize enough people into following the wrong path, they maintain their dominance. They maintain their dominance. They maintain the male voice. They maintain it. How can you be for men if you're trying to maintain women's dominance? The wrong type of women dominance. These women love these dumbass dudes. They love the strong woman. They love the fact that she damages and destroys the boys that they give her. They love that shit. They love that shit. I don't buy the fact that there's this grand community conspiracy here. No, it's a conspiracy. And you see it here. It doesn't matter whether you're 20, it doesn't matter whether you're 60 years old. You have the same level of concentrated arrested development. Concentrated arrested development. There is no white man here. There is no white man here. There's only people who decided to stay in circumstances and allow those circumstances to speak for their actual future without them being involved at all. And then you expect the men who got their shit together to come back and deal with the broken women that you broke. And you expected them to only work exclusively with the men who don't even respect productivity. This is a team sport. This is the team. It doesn't matter how many comedians that you try to cover up this specific fact with, the fact remains the same. No one is stopping you from succeeding in this environment but you. And that's how they end up here in the first place, with problems that the manosphere can't possibly fix. Now they want to see that their broken circumstances that they've been raised in, that they've been socialized in, is nothing but credits. It's nothing but credits. I treat this as you treat things in college. Like when you go to college and you want to transfer your credits from one system to another, even within the same city, because a lot of colleges have a different levels of accreditation. These broken circumstances that these men deliberately put these boys into were non-transferable credits. There were non-transferable credits. Yes, you wasted your time specializing in all that nonsense. Now you have a bunch of non-transferable credits when it comes to a new system that works. How you going to be able to transfer living with bitches 101 to an actual college? This is what you invested in. How are you going to be able to leverage this class into a new system? That's why these people have standards and systems, so that way they can be able to repeat a specific level of success. The moment you give these people a way out of anything, the first thing that comes to mind is, how am I going to be able to maintain my current level of relevance in a working system? Because these people are not hunters. These people are saboteurs and they are hyenas. That's exactly what it is. So what they want to do is they want to culture shop their bad culture among every other society or every other system. When you realize it at the end, because they know how obsolete they are. Right now, they know how obsolete they are. They know it. That's why they came online to set up this complaint force field of bullshit. They did this on purpose. There may be some people who may be against black people, but there is they don't even number in the actual level that these black people are doing. The only thing you have to ask the person is simply, it's a very simple question. What is your timeline for success? How do you get there? How long does this take? Can you point to another society that used similar tactics or tools or observation and got a level of success from it? What's the timeline? Like, these things ain't that hard. The only thing you have to ask is, what's the timeline? Because if in 1970 they were still talking about the gender war relationship shit and men refused to be productive, even back then, we're talking 50 years ago. That woman in that video is now a grandmother, if not a great grandmother. It was a bunch of weak ass men who stepped forward to who wanted to be with this strong woman to create the problems that we have right now. You can't offer people a better level of protection than the actual eventual outcomes of their actions. How hard is it to understand that you're born looking like an amalgamation of both of your parents, but when you die looking like your goddamn decisions that you made when your ass was here in your generation? That's what you die looking like. Yes, this stuff is a distraction. Why? They can't talk about substance. They don't benefit from substance. They came online to create a level of failed surrogate fathers that was going to help these broken boys and lead them to the eventual fruition of being them. You are correct. But that's the problem. Most of the people who got their stuff together, they're not in the manosphere, dude. They're not here. These dudes are out living their life. That's why the younger women ain't here. Younger women out there living their life. They're not trying to listen to how to be a better hoe by most of these older ass bitches in this environment. They're not here. The only thing they got to do is lock out all the reason. That's all they got to do is lock out all the reason. Lock out all the reason and all the rationality. That's the only thing that you got to do to win here. But it's not the avatars of this shit. And they have the nerve to call other people agents and shit. Like that's the thing that really that's the thing that really gets on my nerves, man. Like I never really understood that. Yes, when I go to different groups of people, I tell them to lock your ass out. This is how these dudes act. They ain't got no sense. Lock them out. Lock them out. This is it. The problematic woman can no longer have any kids, and the problematic man who wanted to get with said woman can't have any more kids with her. I think it's a great deal. I think it's a great deal, and I think it's a fitting in to this actual thing. Is to give younger people the productivity piece early, make them better than their parents early, give them the ability to build generational wealth, and not hand it over to they broke ass early. The only thing you owe these people is a burial policy. That shit don't cost but $7 or $8 a month very early, and that's all you need to do because you do not want to walk into a $10,000 to $15,000 problem trying to get this person off the earth. Fuck that. You can pay $7 or $8 a month, nice burial policy. You can pay like $15 to $25 a month so this person can have a long-term care facility for this person to be in. So that way, when it eventually happens, that stuff is actually paid for, and you ain't got to worry about nothing. That's what you owe them. You don't owe them anything else. But the problem is, it is you need to be happy that you can see these people real time. You need to be happy about that. That's because they only were taught or socialized into that the system was going to take care of them, regardless of their input or output. When there's already a system in place to take care of those needs. But the problem is they don't want to pay into those systems in order to get something out of those systems. And that's just not one thing. That's a lifestyle choice and decision for these people. But you have to learn this stuff. And you have to re-socialize people into this thing. And you can't be doing this stuff on a wide basis. It's no. Like this stuff needs to be an academic situation rather than a lived experience. This stuff should have been a couple of pages in a book, not a lived experience for 20 and 30 years. This is why they follow the feed, fuck, fight phenomenon. They don't know how to do shit else. They want to eat, they want to fuck, they want to fight, they want to sleep, and that's all you can do with dudes like this. Put them in the Coliseum, watch them act like Patrice O'Neal, Cat Williams, or Corey Holcomb. Those are the only things here. Those are the three archetypes of male masculinity here. That's it. It's really not that difficult to figure out. Think about it. If you raise a kid in a productive two-parent household, why the fuck would you send them to the manosphere? For what reason? Why would you send them here? The problem is a lot of people are like, oh, well, you just in this industry. I'm like, no, this industry works like every other industry. But you have to understand that there's the broken man industry, the keeping people psychologically deranged industry. And that's where these people are at. All you gotta do is look at my old live streams. Look at the people who pretended to get it. And look at what they turned into a couple years later or as soon as they could get the access and chance to. They went from acting like they got it, coming on my platform, to separating and being totally full of shit right after that. Yeah, go back and look through them. Go back and look through them. Just like Ben Affleck said in Batman versus Superman. Look at how many good guys are left. Look at how many stayed that way. As soon as they had a chance to be on that bullshit, bro, they were out of here. They were out of here. They joined the group. They joined a group of distractors. They joined a group of wannabe entertainers, hyper focusing on producing the same level of bullshit day by day. Yeah, but they can't end the gender war though, because ending the gender war means that they got to move and actually do things with their life that is productive to actually get access to the woman that they claim that they don't want. When the actual complaining about their woman surrendering her power is exactly what they want. But that's currently where we are, folks. That's currently where we are. So when a person comes up to you and they try to socialize you into believing or giving a damn or caring about the actual things that they refuse to do for themselves, you now know to leave these people the fuck alone. You now know that. It's a distraction to keep you at the bottom. It is a distraction. They can't debate anybody. Why would they debate anybody? To prove the fact that they ain't got nothing of use and of worth here? Because if you knew that this gender war conversation was being had 50 years ago, there would be no reason for you to be arguing about this shit today. Yeah, that's where we currently are, man. But the problem is they want to speak for men. They want to socialize that all men are failures. They want to socialize that all men try to get with the wrong type of women and try to have a kid with them. They want to socialize that. What's going on, Long Square? I ain't seen you here in a long time. What's going on, man? But this is currently where we're at. And you got to understand that you wouldn't be working this hard to be the voice of everyone here if you privately had your shit together already. That's why I don't have a problem throwing people away. I have no problem with throwing people away. I've been in the military. I have seen what happens when you allow the wrong type of people to get access to power. I've seen it with my own eyes. And there's not a single person who served in the military who would not tell you otherwise. The military does not try to work with every type of person that's there. Hell no. They have a minimum level that your ass is to exhibit. And if you can't exhibit it, you got to go. Because if not, you become a threat and a danger to the entire group of people that's here. But most of these personnel here are here for that exact reason. They want to socialize a level of masculine failure amongst the entire group. They don't want the world to know that there's a whole bunch of people who do got their stuff together, who do got their act together. They don't mind joining movements to try to make all male travelers look like clowns who want to fight the gender war overseas. They don't mind joining groups of movement of the manosphere and try to turn this shit into entertainment. They don't mind doing that. They don't mind it. They don't mind trying to tell you that they want more out of a society that they don't want to participate in. They don't mind telling you that. They don't mind trying to socialize the level of failure. They don't mind going get high levels of education and still being on amateurish bullshit. They don't mind doing that with your in my face. They don't mind doing that. Why? They're here to destroy everything. Because they'll be damned if the whole world moves forward without them being a part of it. All this stuff is based on is a lack of awareness because they're trying to make the time that they spent count. That's what it is. They can't do that. And then you have other cowards and failures within the same environment who tell you to deal with the same people, who tell you to turn a blind eye to the same people, same types of people. You have people coming around doing live streams on some infinite cloud chase shit, stupidity, not trying to fix anything. Pointing out problems has become cloud chasing now. Fixing the environment has now become the new level to destroy the environment. The needs of the many prevail over the needs of the few. But what happens when those few become the many? No one has ever thought about that. What happens when the few become the many? And they want to lock out the many and overprocreate problems so that way the new few becomes the new many. That's where we're at. The old few have become the new many, locking us out of the entire environment that we thought that we were just going to leave these people alone and those problems were going to quietly end. Incorrect. Those problems were going to grow as long as no one had any way to stop it. There was nothing you was going to be able to do with these poison ivy farmers if you left them on an island creating poison ivy. No one goes out intentionally and try to grow water hemlock or poison ivy. You don't have arsenic factories for a reason. However, poison is never going to resolve itself. Poison is just going to take a hell of a lot more people with them that doesn't need to go with them. Because that's what they're here to do. They're here to socialize failure. That's what they wanted. But I don't think their wants are even that bad. It's a simple fact that they wanted to blame the women while they were doing it. That's what I had a problem with. especially if you know the problematic women that you want access to are problematic beforehand. If you know they're problematic beforehand, then how did they end up in your household? If you knew they was problematic before, how did you end up having unprotected sex with those women and end up creating families that you claim that you didn't want with those very women? The problem can't be the women. When I travel to Veracruz in Mexico, I know exactly the places to stay out of because they tell you, or the people that you ride around with, they tell you not to go over there. It doesn't come in a State Department report about the area. But if you take your ass over there anyway, that's kind of on you. We can't let sexual inflation create these pretend problems and solutions for us. I think this place would be better off without the gender war, without the culture war. Because without the gender war and the culture war, you can easily see who's producing and who isn't. This is kind of like how problematic managers want everybody to come back to the office. Think about it. With them not spending money on the actual office, the productivity of people went up, not down. So why would an environment that benefited off of people working from home and being highly productive, how would a work environment benefit off everybody coming back to the office? The people who cannot produce without conflict around are the reason why people want to come back to the office. Because these environments are not about productivity. It is about keeping up a whole bunch of bullshit. You don't need a whole bunch of human resource people or managers or any of that other stuff. It's either you got the skill to do the work or you don't have the skill to do the work. That's all that is. And it's no different than here. They seen a place where men were getting their shit together and they came through and they doused it with fucking bullshit and burned it to the ground. Why? It was going to leave a subsegment of men alone that we always wanted to separate from. And they wasn't having that. That's why they needed the woman boogeyman. They needed the problematic woman boogeyman or boogie woman. That's the reason why they couldn't produce. That's the reason why they don't have a family. That's the reason why for all these things. They had to blame the woman. There was nobody else to blame. It wasn't the productive men because they didn't like productive men. Just like I'm pretty sure the strong, independent woman don't like the productive man either because you're in conflict with each other. But these people wanted co-ownership. They wanted to co-parent. They wanted to do all that shit. And then they wanted to blame her for it after they got into the 50-50 deal. That's what these weak ass men wanted to do. I'm keep telling you this stuff is a distraction. What you do is you make these people run into the arms of comfort. You make them run into the arms of comfort. Yes. They want to inflate the lack of sexual access into a problem that's an existential threat that is going to doom society if they can't get a piece of ass. When getting a piece of ass has nothing to do with your productivity piece. Nothing. Actually, once you get your stuff together, you're going to have access to more women than you can actually think of that you're going to have to not engage in that shit anyway. Even when you do get your stuff together, you're not going to go all bitch rich with your money. You mess with a couple of the wrong ones and your ass is going to be at the bottom. You think you have men telling people that? Hell no. They want these people to be sexually irresponsible so that way they can eventually become the voice of them. They cannot tell you the answer to this question. They can only socialize you into a problem and leave your ass there. They can't tell you the answer to these questions. They can't give you a actual pathway to a solution. Actually, I have more history with those people outside of YouTube. Way more history, like years of history before that. I don't even think those people are that big of a problem. Actually, they should be running this fucking place. They should have been running this fucking place. I thought that was going to be the couples who actually run this fucking place, but they really fucked up how they did shit. So I really thought that they was going to be the ones running this fucking place. To be quite honest with you, because one of the individuals I do like, the other one I do not like at all. But I would tolerate the other individual. But you guys got to understand, man. This distraction is not going to help you get paid. It ain't going to get you to the money. It's not going to get you the shit. It's going to get you being a actual prisoner of war in a war that you decided that you want to show up to. Yeah. And the point is to socialize with less people. Socialize with less people who are doing more things, not more people who are doing less things. How hard is that? I mean, it sounds very academic and very easy, but that's what you got to do. Less people are doing more things. More people are doing less things. Choose the group wisely and move accordingly. Not hard. Yes. Not only raise machine do you have to protect yourself, you have to build a whole society where this stuff is just flat out unacceptable. So that way when you witness said behavior, you could just be like, hey man, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. And I don't want to be with people who socialize these things of being here. I'm gone from both of that. That too. They know how much they can get away with and with who. These people are not dumb. They're not stupid. They weren't born yesterday. None of them were. So at the end of the day, if your ass is failing, that's because you want to fail. You want to be around these individuals who ain't got their shit together. You want to be around that, and you want to make that work. And you want to give these people extra chances and choices that they haven't earned and that they don't belong with. You know all this stuff. Nobody needs to come up to you and try to drag you in another direction. You know this. You know this already. It is quite time for this to be unacceptable for you to go through this as a person. I've already started that time period. As soon as I left Mississippi, that's when I started that time period. That's when I started that timeline. I started that timeline that these people don't matter. What they think about don't matter. The women that they have access to don't matter. None of it matters. The only thing that matters is the fact that I'm going to create such a large distance between me and these people that I'm going to be okay. Of course they can, Long Square. They so inundated with unproductive people that they know productive people when they're around them. They're not stupid. I'm not going to treat somebody like they're stupid. I'm going to treat them like they're doing it on purpose. That's the only way I can be able to live. I'm not here to actually act like these people don't know what they're doing. I'm not going to do that. If there's a benefit for them personally, then I'm going to treat you like you're doing it on purpose. unless the facts and the evidence say otherwise. I am not worried about these individuals who do not have their shit together, but I am ultimately concerned about these individuals who want to take everybody else down with them. I am because being silent and leaving these people alone and leaving them to their devices have got us more of these problems, not less. That's why you gotta leave these people alone, man. Like, bro, listen, man, they get a lot out of you not having your shit together. A lot out of it. They get a lot out of it. I don't understand the actual position. I don't understand the position of deliberately guiding people into this level of failure. I don't get it. No one has gotten anything out of this yet or ever. No one has gotten anything out of this. Yeah, Esther McDonald, I agree. I've never seen trans people being focused on this much in my entire life. It ain't even that many of them. I don't give a damn about what sports they can play and what sports they can't, man. I don't care about none of that shit. I don't care about none of that. I'm not even gonna get myself invested or involved in none of that shit. I don't even care about that shit. I'd be damned if I spend my whole day or my whole time be being concerned about a group of people that I don't even run into that often. I'm just not gonna do it, man. I'm just not gonna do it. But you got a bunch of individuals who really can't run anything in their life without this conflict piece. That's where we at, though. That is where we are, and we're gonna continuously be there until it be quite upfront that you understand and notice that you're not supposed to be in this position. Losing is a position that you ain't supposed to be in for the rest of your life. You're supposed to notice this stuff and you're supposed to move on. Listen, if your parenting is not enough, then I'm not sure what it's gonna be. But trying to socialize me and to give a fuck about this shit, it ain't gonna work. Yeah. Same thing for me. Johnny Blaze, same thing for me. The best position I was ever put in was a position to where I get to be able to focus on my own productivity versus everybody else's problems. But these people leave these old environments and they bring these old problems along with them because they just never been inside of an environment where you could just focus on the productivity piece and that's it. They are literally trying to destroy all this stuff for you. They're trying to keep your ass behind. Even when I was in the military, you had all these child support dudes living in the dorm claiming that they were good women and all this shit, suffering the most consequences from them. We used to laugh at these dudes, man. Used to laugh at them. You guys understand, man, like, bro, like, you don't need to have these problems around you all the time. You can actually separate from this shit and be a better person because of it. They're the ones who need these problems, man, not you. You trying to figure out how to make these problems work for you. They're not even trying to figure that stuff out. These people know full damn well that this stuff is not going to work the way that it's currently going. They know that. They ain't that stupid. However, having all this company around them while they're failing, that's something that they actually need. Yeah, but that's what it is. These people actually want the actual outcome that they claim that they don't want. It is crazy that they blame everybody else but themselves for the actual eventual outcomes that they got. They wanted to blame everybody else but themselves. They never built the right associations. They never did any of that stuff. And they still blame the wrong people anyway. Yeah, they have to. They're going to do the same thing to you that they've done to others. That's the actual deal, man. They don't want there to be a better anything. That's what they want. They want these things to be the same. This stuff is so easy to get past this point. You actually have to run into it head first not to realize it. Yep, but you know what? You want to be a comedian or what or whatever you want to do to actually get past these problems, man, it ain't gonna work. Got to separate, man. It's not hard. It's not hard to separate, man. Not hard at all. So, got a lot of things to do today because I am a productive man out here, outside of this space. I'm not trying to sit in an actual corner in my house and just turn on the camera for 1 hour a day and talk about bullshit. I actually got things I got to do out here. So, I want to thank you people for coming through. And you got to stop being distracted, man. You have to be able to learn how to travel alone. You don't need these problems. You got to learn how to leave people alone and learn how to leave people the fuck behind. It's really not that hard. So I want to thank you guys for coming through. I'm the man tomorrow. Like the video upon leaving. You guys have a really nice rest of y'all day. Peace.